Welcome from Guadalajara, Mexico, my favorite city, the best city, the coolest city in all of Mexico, in my opinion. We just had a big earthquake today. The entire building shook. Pink Firefly, my wife, was very scared. It was kind of fun. It was actually about 5 hours away, that earthquake, but it was so bad we felt it here in Guadalajara. Kind of amazing. They don't really have earthquakes in Dubai, at least not that I'm aware of. But I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. It's one of the things I didn't research. I don't really care about earthquakes. That's more of a 2% rule thing. Today, let's talk about something that you probably thought that I didn't give a shit about, and I don't give a shit about it, which is why I'm going to talk about it. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but I'll explain as we go on. And that is the death of Queen Elizabeth that everybody is talking about. Probably less people by the time you actually listen to this podcast. Plus, if you're listening to this podcast, there is a video version of this podcast at my YouTube channel. You can go to alphamale20.com/links, and there's all my links there to all my social media, if you have any interest. The Queen. Do I give a shit that the Queen has passed away? No, I don't. This gets into a very interesting and very touchy, for a lot of people, topic. And it is a factor of societal programming and how people instill this cult of personality. So under certain conditions with certain famous people, you are literally not allowed to point out facts about these people. For example, if I said something like, and I'm not going to say this, okay? I'm not going to say this, but let's say I said something like, why is it such a big deal the Queen died? She has no actual power, so doesn't actually do anything. Holy shit, so you're not allowed to say that. See, right off the bat, a few of you, especially those of you who live in the UK, or even some Americans or Canadians, just got really, really angry with me, right? Right? You just got really fucking mad. Some of you said, yeah, you're right. But some of you got really upset. And I can tell you for a fact, in normal day-to-day discourse, with normal day-to-day humans, normal beta males, normal women, things like that, if I were to say that like at a dinner with a bunch of our friends, I would get horrified looks. You're just not allowed to say these things about certain people. Am I sad the Queen died? Sure. She seemed like a very sweet, wonderful person. She really did. So, as a matter of fact, I know she was a good person. I know a little bit about her, not much, because I don't live in the UK. But my point is, there are certain people in pop culture that you're just not allowed to criticize, not even criticize, just say certain facts about, and she's not the only one. This reminds me strongly of when Lady Diana died. When Lady Diana died, the whole world cried for a year. And I was sitting there going, okay, she's a nice woman who married into a wealthy family and did some charitable work. That's all she did. But you were not allowed to say that. If you said that, people screamed their fucking head off and called you a total asshole. Now today you can say that because it was many decades ago. But back then when that happened, oh my fucking God, you were not allowed to say that because my societal programming has taught me that she was a fucking angel among humans, and how dare you say anything negative about the princess, Lady Di. Again, do I have anything against Lady Di? Have I? No. She seems like a very nice person. No. My point is how society trains you to react to certain people. Now, just to be fair, I'll give you some non-UK examples. I saw this occur in my own audience when Kobe Bryant died a few years ago. When Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash, which was very sad, I had a whole bunch of guys in my audience, who are supposed to be more objective, rational men, said, oh my God, Kobe Bryant. I had guys literally say this, what is the point of living now that Kobe Bryant is dead? And how people, these wonderful saviors of mankind, can just suddenly die. And oh, my life just has known me without Kobe Bryant. And I'm sitting there going, he's a basketball player. Now, you couldn't say that. If you said that, fuck you, man. Fuck you, go to hell. Same thing. Again, this was a basketball player. I'm sure Kobe Bryant was a wonderful person. He looked like a big beta to me because that big ring he had to buy his wife when he caught cheating his wife because monogamy doesn't work. I talked about it at the time. Anyway, I'm sure he's a nice person, nothing against him personally. I'm not talking about these people individually or personally. I'm talking about how societal programming brainwashes people to connect to certain famous people that really haven't done anything in terms of their lives. What benefit did Kobe Bryant actually bring to your life besides someone you like to watch and cheer for? Same thing if you live in the UK. What actual tangible benefit did the Queen bring to you, or Lady Di bring to you, or various other people? You see my point? I mean, my goodness. I mean, if you want to talk about benefits, let's go into greater detail here. And I've mentioned this before. When Obama was president, those 8 years, people worshiped him. Now, today you can bash Obama and no one cares. But back when he was president, especially those first few years, oh my God, I would talk to people all the time. Oh, Obama is the greatest. I'm so happy we finally have a great president. He's the greatest, most wonderful president we've ever had. He's the greatest, most wonderful we've had in the last 47 years because he's so perfect. And I would say, stupidly, I would use facts and logic. You're not supposed to do this. And I would say something like, do you have any idea how many civilians he's killed with his drone strikes? Do you have any idea the number of non-combatants Barack Obama personally authorized strikes for? Do you have any idea? Do you want to hear some statistics on how many people? And then say, fuck you, man. You know what? Fuck you. You know, being president's hard. Let's see you fucking do, you fucking asshole. You were not allowed to criticize the angelic, Jesus-like Barack Obama while he was president because society said, don't criticize this guy. He's amazing, even though he's one of the biggest mass murderers of American history. And I mean that literally with real numbers. That's not just my opinion. That's not an ad hominem attack. Go look up the data and you'll see. The number of people he killed with his drones is just depressing. And of course, Donald Trump came in and increased Barack Obama's drone strikes by over 400%. Thanks, Trump supporters. That's great. Glad you make America great again. That was another guy that you were not allowed to criticize back in like 2016, 2017. Then you were a cuck and you were a left-winger and all those, that you hated America, all that crap, right? Right. Now, going back to Obama, it's fascinating, and I've mentioned this before, that when George W. Bush was bombing civilians in the Middle East, he was the devil. He was Satan. He should have been impeached and brought up on war crimes.
Now watch this drive.
When Obama killed even more people than Bush did in the Middle East, hey, that's so what? You know what? So what? Fuck you. You know, he's doing the best he can. Fuck off, man. Again, it's not about logic. It's not about rationality. It's not about what these people actually do. It's about the cult of personality and what societal programming programs you to think based on your irrational feelings. I mean, I could give you example after example after example after example over the past 50 years I've been alive. The Queen is not the first example, and she will not be the last example. Matter of fact, I will give you one of the biggest examples from my life. And this was one of the moments when I realized why big government is so popular. Why left-wingers love big government, why most Trump supporters also like big government, just a different flavor. Why human beings worship big government. I saw this in action, and it really helped me to understand this. And this is when Ted Kennedy died. Teddy Kennedy. If you don't know who that is, he was a very famous senator for about 35 years in the United States. He was the brother of JFK. Ted Kennedy was a disgusting, evil, fat pile of shit. And I mean that literally. He did horrible things. He actually killed a woman and tried to cover it up. He never had a job in his entire life. He was a lifelong politician. He was one of the most disgusting and objectionable people you have ever seen in your life. Horrific beyond belief. I could do a whole thing on him. I'm not, because he's long dead. Who cares? And he died back in 2009. And the funeral and the pomp and circumstance and the ceremonies they had worshiping this man. Treating this, it was like an emperor had died. It was like Jesus had died. It was insane. And it wasn't just the left-wingers, because he was a left-wing guy. It wasn't just the left-wingers that, oh no, it was all the Republicans and all the, they were there too. Oh, he was a great person. He was a great statement. Oh, and I watched this insanity. I mean, God knows how many millions upon millions of dollars were spent in all these ceremonies worshiping this piece of garbage. And I said, okay, now I get it. Now I understand why big government is so popular. Because this is one of the biggest big government guys in American history. I mean, talk about a left-winger. Holy shit, Teddy Kennedy. But my God, and I saw that, and I understood. And that's when I started understanding this cult of personality, this thing about how people worship people and have these emotional connections to people who haven't done anything of actual substance in their lives. It's just they were taught and trained to worship certain people. And if you're a Trump supporter, you're in the same category. If you were an Obama supporter, you're in the same category. If you're really sad that the Queen has gone, you're in the same category. That, by the way, that includes my own wife. Pink Firefly was really sad when the Queen passed away. I mean, she would have had a really rough time. Why? Now, why was she sad? She's not even British. She's American. Why was she sad? Because of all the TV shows she saw about the Queen and how she felt this connection to the Queen, because she saw these TV shows and movies and about her life and all these documentaries, and she felt awful. Now, fortunately, I can read your mind, or at least some of your minds, and I know what you're thinking. Some of you are thinking this. You're thinking, well, Caleb, that's bullshit. I mean, you feel bad too. I mean, you like Sylvester Stallone. You like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, if they died, you'd feel bad. Yes, I love Sylvester Stallone, but if you walked in here and started criticizing Sylvester Stallone and calling him an asshole, or calling him a liar, or calling him a dick, or calling him he fucked up his marriage or what have you, I would say, okay. I wouldn't say, hey man, fuck you. Stallone's awesome. I wouldn't give a fuck. Because I really like Stallone, but I don't have this emotional, deep, connected thing to him where you're not allowed to say anything negative about him, like with the Queen. Now, it is true, I'm being super honest with you, and I mentioned this at the time, when Robin Williams passed away, I felt that emotionally. I felt bad. I felt sad. I did. It's irrational. I shouldn't have, but I did. I felt sad, and every time I kind of see a picture of him, or, for example, a few weeks ago, Pink Firefly and I were at a place in Dubai, this big antique place. They had all these books on display. They weren't for sale. And there was this really cool book. It was a photographer who followed Robin Williams around for about 7 or 8 years during the 80s. And I just picked up this book and looked through it. It's amazing photographs. It's fantastic. And I felt sad because I literally grew up watching Robin Williams. All the way back to when I was around 12, 11 years old. I would watch every special he did all throughout the 80s, the 90s. I would watch how he moved, and I would watch how he performed, and I'd research on how he formulated jokes and how he pretended to be spontaneous when it was actually rehearsed. He was an amazing genius. And so yes, I had a connection to him, and I felt bad when he died. I did. That being said, if you walked up to me while I was sad when he died and started stating facts about some shitty things he did in his life, because he did some shitty things. He did some shitty shit. I wouldn't say, hey man, you know what? Go fuck yourself. Fuck you. What have you done with your life, you asshole? No. I'd be like, all right, yeah. Right. I don't get defensive about it because I can have an emotional connection with a famous person without all the societal programming and all the societal brainwashing. I am never going to get defensive on you attacking anybody. By the way, I'm outcome independent, which means you can attack literally anybody and I'm not going to give a shit. You can attack me. I won't care. You can attack my wife, don't care. You can attack my children, don't care. I'm outcome independent. So that also helps. So not only have I removed all the societal brainwashing from my mind, or at least, as much as you possibly can. I haven't removed all of it. I don't think it's possible. But 80, 90% of it. I'm also outcome independent. So that means that these people can die and I can go, oh, okay, they died, that's sad. And I can move on with my day and I'll go, oh my God. Or get very angry or defensive when someone else says anything negative, even if it is factually true about these individual people. In my opinion, I think this kind of hero worship with these distant celebrities who have never actually helped you directly is a little dangerous. And I think if you feel that way, in my opinion, that's just my opinion, you have some more work to do in terms of cleaning out your societal programming. Now, here's another objection. Well, Caleb, there are a lot of people who love you. There are a lot of people who fucking worship you. There are some people. Most of my audience tends to be more objective. Most of my audience doesn't worship me. But yes, there is a component of my audience that really, really likes me. Okay, but here's the slight difference. It is a slight difference, but it's a difference. I give you a massive amount of free content to help you better your life. Okay? And moreover, 99.9% of this content is free. I give it to you for free. I charge no money for this, right? And that's true. 99.9% of my content is free. There's a 1/10% that costs money and some of it costs a lot of money, okay? But 99.9 is free. And my content is not entertainment. It is value-based content to help you improve your life as a man, your long-term masculine happiness, your dating life, your sex life, your business life, your income, your taxes, your international life. I talk about a lot of topics, don't I? I'm giving you actionable information to help you better your life. When is the last time the Queen sat down and said, all right, children, let me explain to you exactly how you can start a company and make a lot of money and leave this collapsing country called the UK? I don't think she's ever done that. You see my point? She was just a figure you were supposed to worship because society told you you're supposed to worship this person. So if someone really likes me, at least they have a reason because I've given them all this content for free that actually helps their lives. And that's not true of just me. That's true of a lot of other content providers, including content providers on the internet I disagree with. There are people on the internet who I disagree with who give their own content and people love them, but at least these guys are giving out free content that helps those people, so I get it. I do get it. That makes some sense. But even in that scenario, you shouldn't worship those people. You shouldn't worship me. If you want to like me, great, that's fine, but you shouldn't worship me or anybody else. But what I'm saying is when you worship these distant celebrities, when you worship Donald Trump or Obama or the Queen or Lady Di or Kobe Bryant or Eminem, or, God damn it. When you worship these distant people and you feel like they're your best friends or your mothers or your saviors, and then they die and you're just miserable, and if anyone states any facts about them, you scream your head off and get all defensive and pissed off. I may get comments on this podcast. How dare you say something negative about the Queen? Or I'll get nitpickers. Caleb, it's not true. She didn't do nothing. She actually did this. Back in 2004, she did. All right, fine. You get my point. Whenever you see yourself worshiping someone like this and being defensive about a famous person, or actually feeling suicidal, like your life has no purpose, like when Kobe Bryant died, you need to do a gut check, in my opinion, because you're not being rational. You're being emotional, you're being irrational, and the only reason you're being this way is because society has told you to feel that way. If you're gonna get emotional, at least get emotional about something that fucking matters. If my daughter died tomorrow, I would be really emotional, but that matters. That's my daughter. Am I gonna get fucking emotional about the Queen dying? No, because it doesn't matter. Hello? I'm sorry to say that. And again, if you're getting pissed off when I say that, you need to do a gut check and ask yourself why you're feeling that way. You're feeling that way because you were told to feel that way. And let me end with this, because I don't want to sound like I'm going too far off the deep end here. I'm not saying you can't really appreciate and really like celebrities or people on the internet. That's fine. That's okay. There are people I really like. As I said, I love Sylvester Stallone. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I love Jim Rogers. I love Doug Casey. There's a lot of people I love. I think they're great. I think they're fantastic, and I'm going to pay attention to them and listen to them and take their advice and be objective about their advice. That means I'm not going to take everything they say and just say, yes, master, but I'm going to listen to what they say and try to use that data to help me in my life. That's okay. Matter of fact, that might be a good thing. You should learn from mentors. You should learn from people. I am talking about these distant celebrities where you're nearly not learning much. They're just there to entertain you or to fill you with awe because they're part of royalty. I could do a whole thing now on the validity of royalty in the modern era. Let me do that really fast. I could do a whole podcast on this, and maybe I will if you guys want me to. I live in a monarchy, okay? I live in the United Arab Emirates. I live in a monarchy, and I actually prefer living in a monarchy than I do in a democracy. And as I've written many times in my blogs, a lot of analysis about this over at my blogs, if you live in a democracy, your odds of being free are actually lower than if you live in a monarchy, amazingly. As I've shown many times, for many decades now, the top two least unfree countries have been both Hong Kong and Singapore, both of whom are not democracies as Westerners understand them. I have more personal, individual, day-to-day freedom and business freedom living in the United Arab Emirates, a monarchy, than I ever did living in the United States, a supposed, in theory, democracy. So I'm not opposed to monarchies, although there's some dangers with monarchies as well, because you have to totally rely on who the monarch is. I prefer something like a constitutional monarchy or a constitutional oligarchy. I've written articles about this. So it's not like I'm completely down on monarchies. It's not as simple as monarchy bad, democracy good. Democracy is not good. Democracy means you're going to pay 40, 50, 60, 70% of your income in taxes. Hello, Western Europe. Hello, Canada. Hello, United States. Hello, Australia. You're not going to be paying those kinds of tax rates in Hong Kong. You're not. Sorry, you're not. You're not. Okay? And you certainly don't pay them in the quote-unquote authoritarian United Arab Emirates. You're going to pay 0%. And that's a monarchy. So if you want me to do a podcast on that, monarchy versus democracy, I don't know if I want to get into that because that's politics. I'm trying not to talk about politics. But I wanted to end with that. I'm not bashing these things. I am bashing the concept of you're supposed to get defensive and angry defending these distant celebrities because your society told you to. And if you do that, you're acting fundamentally irrationally. And if you're doing that, you should look yourself in the mirror and do a gut check and ask yourself why you're feeling that way. Because that's not something you want to feel. If you're going to be emotional, do it for a reason. A valid reason, not because the Queen died or because a basketball player died in a helicopter crash. Cool? Cool. All right. I will see you in the next podcast. Have fun. Bye.